working on the breath technique for the month, which is a 3-part breath. If you'd like to practice this technique, place both hands over your belly button. And as you breathe in, feel the belly button push up against the hands. And as you breathe out, feel the belly button contract away from the hands. So as you breathe in, the belly rises. And as you breathe out, the belly pulls in. For the second part of the technique, reach your dominant hand across your body to your rib cage. I was just using this breath technique this week for insomnia. So it has many purposes, but the main purpose is a diaphragmatic breath, or learning how to breathe deeper with our whole body. So we'll breathe in one breath to the belly button, and then breathe in a second breath and push the ribs out into the hand. Then as you exhale, the ribs pull in, and exhale, the belly pulls in. Inhale, the belly rises. Inhale again, the ribs push out. Exhale, the ribs come in. Exhale, the belly comes in. Try that a few times. 2 breaths in, 2 breaths out. Stay focused and concentrate on the breath in the body. Then release your hand on your ribs, and you'll bring both sets of fingers to your collarbone at the base of your throat, as if you're pulling down a tight turtleneck. Right at the base of your throat, your fingers are on the collarbone. This is the hardest part to feel for most of us if we're not used to breathing deeply. You'll breathe in 3 breaths now. 1 breath to the belly button, 1 breath to the ribs, and then a 3rd breath, try to feel your collarbone rise. 1 long, steady exhale. It's 3 breaths in, belly button, rib cage, and collarbone. Practice that a few times on your own. Using that whole torso to breathe instead of our short, shallow breath, which starves our body for oxygen. Then to complete the technique, release both hands at your side and make it 1 long inhale, hitting those 3 parts of your core: navel, ribs, and chest. And 1 long exhale, feel that work in reverse. Take 3 to 6 of these super oxygenating breaths. As you release the technique, you may feel a little calmer. The blood pressure has lowered. Your body is consuming a lot more oxygen, creating white blood cells. As you return return to your normal breath, you might notice how much shorter it is. Tell yourself, thank you for your practice today. We give thanks for the community here. And we have gratitude for the space that we're in, the safe place where we can meet. If you have some essential oil, or if you were gifted one of these lavenders or rosemaries, you might break off a little sprig and take some of the leaves in between your wrists to crush them, rub the wrists together to release the oil trapped in the leaves of the plant. And then, cupping your face, make a bowl with your hands and take some deep breaths in and out through the nose, inhaling the plant essence. In January, we were working on getting connected to nature and getting grounded down, connected to earth. In February, we're working on our second and third energy centers, our core, abdominal area. This is our waste removal system. It's good to get rid of any emotional waste that we haven't removed yet, that we may still be clinging to. So focus on letting go of whatever might come up for you during this core practice. The core is not only our abdominal wall from that rib cage all the way below our belt line, but also the sides of our body, the low back, inner thighs, buttocks. So we're working on all that region today with our practice. We'll start out with Joseph Pilates' pelvic neutral exercise. If you'd like, set yourself up as if we were going to do bridge with your feet 1 foot distance apart, knees bent, ankles under knees, hands at your side. Without lifting your hips off the ground, tuck the tailbone between your legs and feel your low back round. Then push the tailbone towards the floor and feel your low back arch. So you're going into a rounded low back and then an arched low back, curved low back. If it isn't resonating with you, you can try laying on the back of your hand. And as you tuck your tailbone, you squish your hand, and as you point the tailbone towards the ground, you pull the low back away from your hand. Just moving slowly between rounded back and arched back a few more times. Now try to stop in a flat low back. Finding a pelvic neutral. So we're not arched, we're not rounded in the low back, we're right in the middle. A theoretical straight low back. And feel what muscles you have to engage to keep your back in neutral, your pelvis in neutral. It might be inner thighs, buttocks, and navel. Feel the extra effort it takes to find that pelvic neutral, engaging those core muscles. And we'll return to that during the practice today. So as you relax now, see where your back wants to go. I know I have a lordotic curve, so my back wants to arch and pull away from the floor, and then my right hip wants to hike up because of some scoliosis. So I'm going to adjust for that. I'm going to push my right hip away a little, and I'm going to move out of that big arched low back towards more of a middle ground. Then lifting up to bridge pose, press your feet down, arms down, shoulders down, lift your hips high off of the ground. You want to lift your bridge high enough for a boat to go underneath your low back. Now the tendency here is for the buttocks to do all the work and to arch the low back. So try to find that pelvic neutral in bridge without overdoing the buttocks. Feel your navel pulled in. Imagine you were squeezing a yoga block between your knees, inner thighs engaged, buttocks and navel pulled in and up. Now just release your inner thigh work, but keep your buttocks and belly engaged. Then release the buttocks and feel your abdominal wall pulling in to support that low back. And finally, let's lower our bridge down all the way. Let's walk our feet as wide as the mat. Our arms can move away from the side, or sometimes it feels really nice to interlace the fingers behind the head. And just let your knees rock side to side, loosening everything up. Now let's walk both feet over to the right side of the mat. Both feet all the way over to the right side of the mat. And we'll lower the knees towards the floor. Your arms can be in airplane or stay interlaced behind your head. And we want the ankles more underneath our knees. So more at a 90-degree bend and less tucked up by our butt. If the feet are up by our buttocks, it's mostly all low back. If you swing your feet over to the side, it's going to send that stretch a little further up your spine. Now, feeling the top of your hip, support your head with your left hand. Your right hand is going to reach up for your left back pocket. Try to reach all the way past your hip to your heels. Come halfway down and side crunch for 5. Squeezing in the side for 4. Nice and tight for 3. Squeeze up for 2. And on the last one, try to hold it without pulling on the head. Squeeze those ribs in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Arms out at your side. Palms down, grab the floor lightly. If you have a healthy low back, float your feet up through the sky, all the way over to the other side, so that the feet are by the edge of the mat, and you might need to shift your hips back into the middle of the mat to get that 90-degree bend in the knee. Now I know my right side is tighter, my right low back is tighter, so I'm going to have to work a little harder, squeeze those inner thighs, to get the knees closer together and really feel the stretch. See if one side needs a little more work than the other side. Now we'll support our head with our right hand, and our left hand will reach overhead and then come up to the hip for 5. Side crunch for 4. 3, 2, and exhale, hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reach those arms out from your side, float your legs up to the middle of the mat if your back says it's okay. Now squeeze that imaginary yoga block between your knees and lower the knees halfway to the right, lightly gripping the floor. Stop before your low back takes over. Back up to the middle. Inner thighs, buttocks, abdomen pulled into the left. Back up to the middle. Over to the right. Middle and left. Middle. Exhale on exertion. Last set. Right halfway. Middle and left. Halfway. Hold it in the middle. Look up and try to get your ankles above your knees if you can. Almost 90 degrees in the knees, so your ankles are just above the knees. Squeeze inner thighs, buttocks, and pull the belly in and up to sustain this. If you need to hold your head, keep your fingers behind your head without pulling on your head. Or, if you don't need to hold your head, reach up for your toes, but try to maintain that 90 degrees. Now, staying there, just pulsing the belly. Pull it in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the squeeze. And then when you relax your head down, just grab the legs and rock and roll. Massaging that low back. Sometimes it feels good to make some circles with your hips. Now as you come back to the middle, we'll rock forward and back, massaging your long back muscles. On that next rock, try to stop. Use those brake muscles, inner thighs, core, buttocks to stop. Slow motion boat. Placing your knees at 90 degrees, holding onto the back of the legs. Anytime you need to, just put your feet down to give yourself a micro break. We'll try slow motion boat. Release your right hand for 3, 2, 1. Left hand, 2, 3. Try straightening right leg. 1, 2, 3. And left leg. If you need to, just put your feet down, get back in. Bend right knee. 1, 2, 3. Left knee. 2, 3. Hold right hand. Try to keep your ankles up above the knees. Hold left hand. Now sit back until you're really shaking and hold it, hold it, hold it. Beautiful. Let's come up and extend those legs out in front of you. Bring the hands out away from your hips. We've had some beautiful sunny weather lately. Let's just imagine we're sitting underneath that sunny sky, and then stretch the whole front of your body. Just let it hang out. No one's looking. When we do a lot of core work, we want to make sure we do the opposite of core so we don't get pulled forward. And then we also need to protect our low back. So from here, we'll turn this into staff pose, bringing your feet towards each other. Hands by the hips slightly turned out. You want to keep your wrist in front of your shoulder as opposed to behind it. Now we're not trying to lift off the ground. Make sure your wrist is in front of your shoulder. We're just trying to get a little stretch back here. So as you push on the ground, feel a little lengthening in that low back. And then as you release, we'll walk forward, coming into our seated forward fold. As we release, we'll sit up and let's swing our legs around behind us to come into all fours. Now you can protect your wrist by rolling up the front of your mat Protect your knees, roll up the back of your mat or grab an extra mat and stick it underneath the joints if they're achy for you. We want to create a little pod under our wrist so that we're not hurting our wrist, just a little pod under the palm. Inhaling to roll up to cow pose, lifting the head and tailbone. Just let the whole front of your body stretch. And then rounding to cat, pull everything in. Now pause in cat and notice when the abdomen contracts, we want to support it with the inner thighs and the buttocks. Going back and forth between the two, just making sure we hit those key core muscles on cat. And as you're ready, we'll sit back child's pose, bringing the knees wide, arms forward. You might need to stop on puppy dog with the forearms down if your knees are hurting you, or if you sit back all the way, let everything relax. Child's pose is one of the best poses to stretch that core. You can let your belly hang out, you can let the inner thighs stretch because your knees are by the edges of your mat. They're far away from each other, so make sure your knees are far apart. Let's get a little more activated here. We'll pull ourselves back up to table and reach the right arm forward, left leg back. The hand is in handshake position, so there's no trapezius muscle engaged, so turn your palm inward. And your leg is the same height as your hand, so the pelvis doesn't turn out. Reach and stretch, get longer. Then round the back like cat and bring elbow to meet knee for 5. Inhale. Make sure you're squeezing in those muscles on the list. 4. Exhale, squeeze for 3. And hold that last one like 2 magnets connecting together. Squeeze tight, tight, tight. 2 more. And release. We'll slowly switch sides. Left arm, right leg extends away. Left palm is facing in. Take a moment here and make sure you're balanced throughout your body. And then round the back, squeeze, belly, inner thighs, buttocks. 5. Reach, squeeze, elbow meets knee. 4. Tight contraction. 3. Squeeze it tight. And last one, let's hold this and make it burn. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And release. Bring those knees wide, arms walk forward, sit back, let it all relax. When you're ready, pulling yourself up, we'll walk the knees underneath our hips, tuck the toes, bringing the hands to the front of the mat, and lift the hips for downward facing dog. In down dog, our feet are one of our shoe sizes apart. Send your hips high up the wall behind you. Micro bend in the elbows and relax around the neck. We want to feel like that dog waking up from a nap, pressing its breastbone into the floor, sending the hips up high. Let all of those muscles we've been talking about relax. And then move around side to side, walking in place, loosening up even more.
Walk your feet about 1 step closer, or 1.5 steps closer. We'll bring right hand to left leg and pull gently on the left leg to look underneath our left underarm. And feel that shortened down dog and the twist happening in your spine. So right hand to left shin, release. Left hand to right leg, pull gently for that twist. Release, and we'll slowly start to walk our hands towards our feet. We're only coming up halfway. As you come up, press on the shins. We want a long back. Neck is in neutral. We're looking slightly forward, but we're not arching the back of the neck. So try to imagine I put a marble on your low back. It would not roll down and hit you in the back of the head. We want that slight back bend. Without locking out the knees, so there's a micro bend in the knees. If you have a healthy back, then engage inner thighs, buttocks, pull your navel in and up, and release the hands back by your hips. If you have any back issues, this is not for you. Hold on to those legs. Now squeeze the shoulder blades on the back. There's a little tiny bend in the knees. Core muscles on the list engaged. Big breath here. Your upper body's like a rocket ship about ready to take off. Then on your next exhale, relax and round. Let everything just relax. Let it all soften. Pressing through the feet. Inhale, let's circle our arms to rise to standing back bend. As you come up, reaching those arms up and overhead, look up through the hands, little back bend. Exhaling, hands come to the heart. And we'll find 1 foot's distance apart, one of your feet distance apart. Inhale, reaching up, back bend. Exhale, let swan dive, forward fold, soft knees. Inhale, halfway lift. If you engage those muscles and your back feels safe, you can release the hands back by your hips, or hold on if you need to. Exhale, rounded back, forward fold. Inhale, slowly rise, standing back bend. Exhale, hands to your heart. We'll inhale, back bend. Exhale, rounded back. Inhale, halfway lift, micro bent knees, supported low back. Exhale, rounded back fold. Inhale, circle to stand. And exhale, hands back to the heart. One more on your own. Don't even think about the order or getting it right. Just moving the body, feeling your spine. And once we wrap up that last one, we'll come to standing with our hands at our side, palms facing forward. So last month we worked on getting really grounded through our lower body and our legs, and this month we're working on the good posture, improving our posture. So we'll engage those muscles on the list. Inner thighs, buttocks, navel. It comes in, but it also has to go up. And finally, shoulder blades on the back. Squeeze those together. Standing at good attention, good posture, maybe close the eyes and feel what that feels like. Avoid locking out the knees. On your next exhale, keep the eyes closed, but totally relaxed, like a spaghetti noodle, or like you were just standing talking to your best friend, not even caring about anything. Just totally relax everything. Now be honest with yourself. Really relax. Don't fix anything. without even looking, my head is sticking out, my head is in front of my torso, my whole right side is collapsed. That's scoliosis in the right leg. My left hip's doing most of the work, shoulders are forward and rounded. So compare your relaxed stance to that posture improvement exercise. So let's go through that again. Inner thighs, buttocks, abdomen in and up, and shoulder blades engaged on the back. Now let's bring this into practicum with our yoga practice. So we'll hold on to our hips, and I'll meet you somewhere near the front of your mat. For warrior one, we'll plant our right foot near the front and slide the left foot 3.5 to 4 feet, slightly turning it out, not too far. Bending right knee over ankle, steer your hips and shoulders to face forward. Now immediately, I have that lordotic curve. That feels comfortable to me, but I know that's not healthy. So I'm going to go through my list. Inner thighs, buttocks, abdomen in and up. And I took that extra work out of the low back in this posture. Then the hardest part, getting something distal from your pivot point. So raising those arms, palms face each other. More weight now. Easier to collapse into the low back. Go through your list of muscles, checking in with your posture. Front knee is over your ankle. Back leg is straight. Palms face each other like you're holding a heavy box. Beautiful. Take a few deep breaths. Now do a little experiment. Take a breath in. If you want to close your eyes and feel safe, you can, but just relax. Take out the work. Doesn't feel too healthy. Now go through that list again, checking those core support muscles. We'll release, hands to hips. Even harder to do is warrior two. So we'll turn the back foot almost parallel to the back of the mat now. And for warrior two, we want to have our heels on a straight line. So imagine a line running down your mat and have your front heel in a straight line with your back heel. Holding hips for transition, then front knee over ankle. And in your relaxed stance, notice what happens. I can usually tell right away by looking at someone's front knee. If you're in the curve in the low back and your belly's hanging out, your knee's probably falling in. If you're tucking your tailbone and you're rounding that low back, your knee's probably falling out. So go through the list and release the arms shoulder height to complete the pose, looking out over your front middle finger. Shoulder blades on the back, abdomen in and up, inner thighs, buttocks. Give your front knee a glance and see if it's indicating anything going on. And we'll slowly release. Let's turn both feet in the same direction, and we'll raise the arms up high for star. Looking up through your hands, let all those muscles totally relax. No one's looking, let your belly hang out, inner thighs soften it. Give it all up. Then we'll start to come forward, hands to hips for transition. Start to hinge at the waist, slide the hands down your legs. Now, I am not instructing a handstand, but to reiterate the importance of those core muscles, walk your hands forward if you can to create a pyramid with your legs. So your hands are equal distance away from your feet. You might have to bend your knees to get there a little or bring your feet closer together. And you may need to have a yoga block to hold on to. Then looking down in between your hands. This is the big secret to inversion poses. If you were going to do handstand, squeeze the inner thighs, buttocks, navel in and up. You might want to even lift your heels if it feels safe, feeling as if your feet were going to float up in the sky any minute. Then relax belly, buttocks, inner thighs, heels will probably come back to the floor. Hands to hips for transition, slowly rise. Take your time and wiggle or hop your feet back to the middle of that mat. We'll turn to face forward, shake off your legs, arms. Left foot steps at the front, right foot steps back, slightly turned out. Hips and shoulders forward, and here we go. Right through that list again. Making sure the back foot's not turned out too far for warrior one, so it's more towards the front corner of your mat. So that back heel, back big toe is pointed forward. Getting it out of that warrior 2 foot. That warrior 2 foot, if you try to turn forward, it'll hurt that back knee every time all day long. So we have to pivot that back foot to save the back knee. The hardest thing here, for me anyway, is shoulder blades back and down. But that'll take out any lifting around the neck. Shoulder blades back and down. Just do this. Bring your elbows a little closer towards each other and feel how that changes the pose in the upper body. Then as you release, turn that foot to a warrior 2 foot, a little less than parallel, arms at shoulder height, looking out over that front hand. Then glance down. Your front knee will give it all away. Here's my belly hanging out, my lordotic curve. Fix that, the knee goes where it needs to be. Watch that knee. If it's falling in, everything's probably relaxed. If it's falling out, fix it back over that front knee. When you're ready, we'll turn both feet in the same direction. And now let's really stretch that upper body, interlace those fingers behind your back, roll the shoulders back and down, lift up, look up. We get really tight in the front of our throat from leaning forward all the time. Looking down at our phones or our computers makes our shoulders round forward all day long. Our upper chest muscles get tight. Stretch those upper body muscles out. Cross ERYT C. Soft knees as we come forward. Dropping the head towards the floor. Lift the hands up above your heart. Release the hands towards the floor and move however you'd like to move. Just let go of a few things. Then as you're ready, walk towards your hands towards your front foot and bring your front foot back to the back of the mat, coming into push-up pose. If you need to, just put your knees down and then try to get back into push-up pose. Now let's go through the list. Inner thighs, buttocks, belly in and up, shoulder blades on the back. So we want to look like a straight piece of wood. Our feet are only 1 foot's distance apart, and our hips are not higher than our shoulders. Hips no higher than shoulders. Use those muscles on the list. We only have 10 more seconds for 30 seconds, so we're in push-up pose if we can be. Hold it. You got it. Hips no higher than your shoulders. Beautiful. Slowly release. So try that 30-second plank.
Look at yourself from the side as you come down to the mat. Look at yourself from the side in a plank. And make sure there's no lowering in the middle section or raising. We don't want a pike cobra. So we want to strengthen the low back. So we'll walk our hands back to our middle ribs poked by the thumb right in the middle, our fingertips under our shoulder caps. Now, how does a snake stand up to scare us or to dance? It pushes its tail down. So we want to push the feet down, knees down, but we need to engage inner thighs, squeeze the buttocks, navel in and up, shoulder blades on the back, so that you don't have to use any hands. You're using the muscles on the list. Buttocks, inner thighs, don't overdo the buttocks. Belly in and up, shoulder blades on the back. And releasing your snake, you might want to bend the knees and gently rock side to side. Walking the hands under the shoulders, let's push ourselves up to kneeling on the mat, and you may need to double up your mat to protect your knee. Our toes can be tucked. Let's hold the low back, putting our hands in our back pockets. Lift the low back to support it. Fingertips push the buttocks down. Looking up. The only way we cannot lean back is to engage the muscles on the list. As we let go, let's find a happy cat, rounding your back. Just a gentle cat. Cross the ankles or swing the legs through to have a seat at the back of the mat, and we'll extend those legs away. Shake them off. And we'll finish with a twist, bringing the right knee towards us. We want to make sure that we're using those muscles to twist and not pulling on the leg. So see if you can go through the list and not use your hand pulling on the knee to twist towards your right knee, keeping your back straight. Then left hand to right knee, place your other hand behind your low back and push it into the low back to remind you to sit up straight for the twist, finally looking back over your back shoulder. Core check without losing your posture. See if you can release the knee and keep that back straight as you come back around to the front. Should take a lot of effort. And relaxing, shake that off. And then we'll do that other side. Using the muscles to help you sit up straight to twist, not really needing to pull on the knee. And then as you release, we use those muscles to come out. Well, we're going to finish with a seated Shavasana. So if you can sit cross-legged, that's wonderful. If you have full lotus, that's great too. But if you need to make any adjustments, that's okay. So sit however is comfortable to you. The purpose of this exercise is those muscles on the list. So even though my legs are far apart, my tendency is going to be to round forward here for most of us, but I can overcome this with the muscles on the list. And I want you to keep reminding yourself all week, check in with the muscles on the list. So inner thighs, buttocks, navel in and up, shoulder blades on the back. Then close the eyes and feel. Now try that deep, full body breath. We give gratitude to ourselves for the effort we make for our health and well-being. We're grateful for others who support us by their presence. And we ask for peace and understanding in the world, our neighborhoods, and our own hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste. So we can't walk around like robots all day long, but just catch yourself throughout your day and hear my voice saying, check in on that list. And hopefully it'll help you. Thank you, everybody.